Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Star vs. the Force of Evil, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by April Collins.
Hi there.
Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
And Andy Potter.
Hi.
It is the second to last week of Star vs. the Force of Evil ever, and we have some huge episodes to talk about this week that aired today, May 12th, on the Disney Channel and the Disney app. The Right Way, Here to Help, Pizza Party, and The Tavern at the End of the Multiverse. I think Pizza Party is the most troll title in the history of this podcast. Like, I think that is...
Yeah.
Has barely anything to do with the episode. It's fabulous. Okay, no, but it's terrible. I don't know which one. But we'll talk these huge episodes. We have a lot to get into. Make sure you've seen the episode. Spoilers for this and all previous episodes of Star vs. the Force of Evil. We talk Star every week. That is new here in the Overly Animated Podcast. Find us at overlyanimated.com. Search for us on iTunes, overlyanimated.com/iTunes. Our YouTube is youtube.com/overlyanimated. We're also on Spotify. Search for us there. Okay. Spoilers. So Starco. April.
Wow.
Starco, give us your Starco thoughts, April.
I can't help but feel like you're trying to manipulate my thought process here.
Wait.
Okay.
I mean on the episodes. What did I say? Sorry.
Okay. I thought we were talking about Starco, not all
Who
of
said
the
that? I didn't say that.
You said it.
Oh, I did? Okay.
You said Starco 5 times.
Probably.
Before you even asked me.
You're like
you
spoiling
asked
Starco.
what my thoughts were for Starco. Okay, so for these episodes, first off, this was a very emotional week for me. So this whole thing brought off a lot of emotions. And I know we're going to talk about Starco, Dylan. Trust me. I hardcore cried. Like when she said, she like tackled him and she was like, let me listen to your heartbeat. Like instantly tears were streaming down my face. And then they just didn't stop. But so I'm just going to say that because I also have other feelings about it too. The moon betrayal, also made me cry because I could not believe that my queen of all queens betrayed me like this. And it was very hard to process because she's like the one person that I was like, everyone was like, she's going to be evil. And I was like, no, she's not. She is Queen Moon and she's going to be good in the end. And then this happens and then she only makes the situation worse. So that's great. And then the Magical High Commission, I hate them. So there's that. But these episodes were great. And I love that I don't know if like all of this emotion, like all of these feelings were come about because like these are the 4 out of 5 of the last episodes or whatever. And so I don't know if like that did a lot for me, but I enjoyed these episodes. Like there's a lot going on with them. And also I agree, Pizza Party is a huge troll. And I hate the Magical High Commission. I don't know if I've already said that or not, but I do.
Heckapoo saves the day.
Heckapoo
fine.
is like backhandedly trying to help the situation, but there's a lot more she could be doing right now. She really cares that much.
She could have.
She's hiding them away.
Yeah. So, and the fact that she also just like ducked out versus like, I guess like being like, hey y'all, you shouldn't be partying like this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Says like I feel like it says something about her character, and I get like she's on our side, but she's also kind of not on our side. So that I guess that hurts a little bit too. But I enjoyed these episodes to summarize this. So that's all I got.
Okay, Michelle, I assume you have less Starco takes. And April mostly didn't talk about Starco, but...
Yeah, I'm saving the Starco
I
talk.
know it's coming.
Okay,
it's
well,
just
feel free.
Initial thoughts.
Chime in on anything initially from these episodes, Michelle.
I guess, so I thought, honestly, that the battle might end after the first episode, but it didn't, and now I'm taking it a lot more seriously, because this is like, you know, we're 4/5 episodes into it, and it's still a pretty big thing, so this is definitely shaping up to be the ultimate battle. I was also surprised by the moon betrayal. I didn't see it coming, but then it was like, oh no, that like totally checks out. Moon, if she was in charge of Glopendor getting free for like sketchy reasons, like, man, like, if I was Eclipsa, I would just, like, really hate her at this point. And Eclipsa doesn't. And I think that says a lot about her character in a positive way. But I don't know, like, the stuff with Mina and like her whole talking about like, you know, it not being enough that Eclipsa wanted to surrender and she wants to like push all the monsters off a cliff. Like it just felt very like viscerally terrible and made me think about all kinds of real world things. And I don't know, I feel very weird about these episodes, but they were impactful. I'll give them that, but they weren't that fun. So I just feel weird.
Hot take, racism isn't fun.
No.
What?
Murder's not fun. One of the monsters exploded too, and it was like, oh my god, people are really dying now. This is
Here
lot.
we are.
Yeah.
That's someone we know. That is, it's the quirky guy. He exploded. Yeah, he actually did die. Other than that, no one else got murdered yet. So that's
yeah.
Okay. It's fun if you ship Starco. I feel like. Well,
No, that made it less fun.
well, for Michelle,
Wow.
yeah. Andy, did you have fun with these episodes?
I mean,
Andy?
yeah, I had fun with these episodes. These were. I'm sorry, I struggle to like separate these episodes in my head because they all kind of like flow together as one big thing. But all the things that happened, I really enjoyed it. I think that we've been having this discussion about whether Moon is good or bad or just gray, and I think this kind of just says, yeah, Moon is not good. But I also think it definitely shows us that Eclipsa is not a good queen at the same time. Like, she had to be told, hey, how about you save your subjects?
Yeah, I thought about our discussion during that part, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that's saying that Eclipse is evil, but I do think it's saying that she's just not good at this. Like, she just is not good at being queen, and that's fine for her character. But I do think that this really just solidified in my head that Moon just isn't good. Like, she really is just this person who's set in her ways, and she doesn't get what she's doing is wrong. Like, she didn't... Like she said that her defense when she was talking to Star and Eclipsa was that she was not going to hurt anybody. And then they're like, hey, but what if Mina does? And Moon's like, well, I'm not going to hurt anybody. And it's like, that's not how it works. Moon, you started this. Like, anything they do is on you because you made this army. That's just the worst defense. But I mean, the rest of the episodes, I really enjoyed the directions we took with Star's character, not just relating to Starco. Like, I really liked the ending, and I have some thoughts on how we ended it with the tapestry. And obviously the Starco stuff was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. And I really loved Marco. I really liked the show clearly stating that this wasn't like love at first sight. I think that the show has been showing us that, but I do like that they stated it clearly for the audience.
Yeah. I'm not sure why we're talking about anything except for Starco in these initial thoughts because
Because we know we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, because we're saving it for
Dylan.
you,
Don't
Dylan.
play,
Yes.
Dylan.
I'm not
Dylan.
playing.
Don't be upset.
No, the Starco it's canon and it happened and it wasn't in the last episode. So, right, we should be all
Yes, that's
Yes.
a small
satisfied.
victory.
Yep, very
Yeah.
small
Yeah,
victory.
it happened in the most romantic place, in the pig goat little house.
Exactly.
Best
the
place.
goat pig. Yeah, that's a big part of the show, the goat pig. So we're going to spend 30 minutes of this podcast theorizing
Talking
why
about goat pigs?
pig goats are symbolism for Star and Marco's love. But before that, it was that scene was fantastic, and I love how there's like small Starco moments through the rest of these episodes. And when Star in the last episode says, "My boyfriend Marco," I died at that. And it was
that was
We all did.
That was
The
very
fandom
quick.
died.
It was the best. And I'm glad that they are together going into the finale, although clearly the finale is not going to be like an epilogue or inconsequential. There's a lot of stuff to resolve, so we're not going to get some big Starco ending. But who knows? Maybe 5 minutes. I don't know. That's probably the most it would ever be. I think these are 4 good episodes. I don't think they're necessarily spectacular. It's weird because I want to say the Starco reveal episode's great, but it's a weird half of the episode, and the other half is just other stuff. And then the first episode, I think there's a lot of really good stuff in the first episode. I love visually what we do with Star and the giant rainbow robot.
Yeah, that is
in
great.
Yeah, so and it might be the best episode. And then there's also some really good stuff in Pizza Party, which has the Queen Solaria flashback, which I loved. And then Tavern at the End of the Multiverse, maybe the most complete of the episodes. I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff there, although I don't know what to make of the magic, destroying the magic stuff yet, so it's a little hard to evaluate, because, interested to see what we do with that. One big point I have, I think, with these episodes, I'm not sure why we end up doing this with Moon as the conclusion. We're gonna talk about it. It's like one of the biggest talking points of the episodes. But I don't know what this ends up doing for her character. This is like the ultimate moral gray conclusion for Moon. I know, like, it's like she betrayed everyone, but they display it really nuancedly, and you can kind of understand why she's doing everything she's doing, and you can disagree, but there's at least an argument to be made that she didn't do anything particularly badly. I mean, clearly she created the army, so.
You can't make that argument.
I can make the
Moon's
argument.
whole thing is she's the juxtaposition to, like, the straw man, like, racist that Mina is. Like, there's nothing redeemable about Mina. But Moon's, like, the more, like, subtly complacent in the evil. And I think that's, like, as important to showcase as anything, because a lot more people would fit into that category.
See,
So
that's
I don't
an
think it's
interesting
that
take.
ambiguous.
We'll discuss that. I'm not sure that that's what they're doing, but we can talk about that. Like,
I mean, Star called her out on it multiple times. I feel like
Right.
that's,
I mean,
like, if
you know,
that's
what
the
Star says
show
is not
thinks, that's
necessarily
clear.
Yeah.
it's not necessarily right. I mean, I think the preview of the argument is that I think that Moon was trying to take control of a situation she saw going very badly, and this is her version of the best possible outcome, right? That's what she was saying, literally. So I mean, it's hard to defend the creating the warriors thing, but at the very least, she's actively taking actions in these episodes, which are counter to some bad things happening.
But she's actively taking actions by kind of refusing to do anything. Like, she's refusing to take any real stance on this racism thing, which we were talking about last time, is a form of racism. She's not stopping Mina, but she's...
Yeah. The one thought I had was that maybe what they're doing with her is doubling down on this complicit thing that we did with her last time. Like, maybe the whole point of this arc is that she's complicit by not standing up to the prejudice that's happening.
That's the way I was reading it.
Right. I think that might, but it's at the very least, it's unclear even if you conclude that. So it's tough. I want to discuss what we're doing here.
I agree.
You're right. Is it nuanced? Well, my thought is like, okay, nuanced or pointless? So that's like in my head. That's the big question coming out of the Moon stuff here.
I think it's nuanced because Star got a chance to, because Moon is with Star, and that means we get a chance for Star to confront this. And I hope that means we get a little bit more of this in the finale.
Right. We might need the finale but yeah, and how it relates to Star, that's good too. Okay, so we'll get back into this, and I'm, clearly I don't agree with what Moon has done, but I do think I'm not convinced that the show is the show's perspective. Like, I think the show tries to be so gray and in the middle, and not necessarily saying anything specific. So I feel like I've been biased that that's what their perspective is usually, but we can debate that. Yeah, I think so. I'm a little down on the Moon stuff right now, but maybe it'll be better after we talk about it. And then the Star character stuff at the end, it is hard without seeing a complete arc, but I think I like that at the very least we're focusing on her. We're going back to, I like that we're tying right to the Into the Wand episode, I think, from season 2. I think that was one of the biggest parts of the show. It's a good place to go back to. I guess, like, tying it to Marco, and like, this, I'm gonna lose Marco. Like, Marco is the stakes, I guess, makes sense if you're culminating Starco. Like, put Starco relevance to the plot. I don't know. We can talk about it. But
I think Glosser's lying in a way that's kind of tricky, but I'll talk about that later, I guess, when we get to it.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was super wishy-washy. At first he's like, no, don't try to take away magic. And he's like, oh, no, it's done. The tapestry's done. So it's like, dude, what are you saying? Is it gone or not?
Well, better way to put it, I don't think Glosser's lying. I think he's omitting truths here. He's omitting parts of the truth. And
okay.
when we get to, like, the end and we talk about predictions, I'll say what I think is going on.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that. But first we have to talk about the most important part of the episodes, which is
Starco.
What I was going to say, the Annihilation spell.
No,
it's Starco. It's Starco.
Annihilation spell's pretty interesting.
That is pretty interesting. That's on my list of things to. Okay, we call here to help. We have our Starco culminating kiss scene, and they once again admit their feelings to each other. And so let's give the Starco recap, I guess, of all the episodes. Because first, in episode 1, Marco comes in at the end and Star tackles him, and she says, "Here, let me listen to your heartbeat for just 1 minute."
So, Dylan, just to stop you, at first I thought you were going to give us a recap of the entire series of Starco, because that's something.
So let's go back to episode 1.
No.
Yeah,
let's go.
That's what I thought you.
That's
were
the
doing.
next podcast. That's no. This is it's already going to take a while, and it's just 4 episodes. They hug, and then Star says, "I'm going to keep you in my pocket from now on." What? Nothing. So we're going. That's good. And then we're in here to help, and they're doing stuff with pig goats, and Star's talking about how she's overwhelmed and decompressing, and she said, "I remember what Marco said in the magic dimension. You told me you loved me," and then Marco's like freaking out, and he says, "It's not a fragment of anything. That's the whole Marco." He says, "The blood moon curse is baloney. I felt like this since the beginning. The way I feel has gotten more intense since we first met, and it was intense at the start." And then they kiss, and then Star says, "Marco, I want you to love me because I love you." And then they're like hugging while like Star's like standing on the pig goat. So there you go. It was everything we ever wanted. Well, we'll see. Well, we'll discuss whether that's true.
See? There it is.
We'll discuss whether it's true if it's everything we've ever wanted. And then, was there anything in the 3rd episode? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And then in the 4th episode, they Star and Marco, they're like holding hands, I think. And then Star says, "No more magic, no more butterflies. All we need is me and you," she says. And then inside Glossric's eye, she says, "My boyfriend Marco, he's missing in this picture. Can you please just add him in here? Maybe holding my hand. He belongs with me." So there you go. That's everything. April, walk us through your reactions to all of this.
It makes me so happy. And also, I have to say, like, I'm very proud of this. So the first kind of like, or whatever, the conversation that they're having, I'm kind of like I was like, "Star, what are you doing taking us to the pig goat pen? Why are we going there alone with Marco?" And then I was so like, she just like starts talking to him, and she's just like, "Hey, so like, I remember what you said." And he has like, I guess he has like his Marco moment, but then he totally owns up to it. I was so proud of him for that, because he was just like, he's like, "Well, like, you know, the blood moon's baloney." And I was like, "That's right, it is. Like, this is a thing." And because we already knew it, but like, okay, basically to sum that up, I'm really proud, and I cried because they, for one, were just openly admitting their feelings for each other. Like, there wasn't any of that, like, "Oh, we're going to avoid it. Like, we don't know, like, where we're going from here," because that's what the show's been doing to us for, like, the last 4 seasons is anytime that we make progress, we're like, "Cool, we're going to ignore it for, like, 5 episodes, and then we'll come back to it." And even then, it's going to be super awkward, and we're never going to resolve anything. So this was great because we talked about it, and, I mean, they got to, like, say it in their kind of own way, which was very sweet, and I love them so much, and I'm so happy they're together. But it like still sucks that it basically took us to the end of the show to get to this point, but it's just wonderful, and I really hope that Star and Marco get to be together in the end, though I'm really, really worried that they won't get to be, because, yeah, like, that would suck if she has to give, like, in order to destroy magic, she has to give up Marco, and, like, but yes, Dylan and I also died whenever she called him her boyfriend. I was like, "That is your boyfriend, you're right, sister."
It sounds like you haven't discussed this yet. You should talk about that.
Look, I just have so many feelings because it's really hard to like talk about it without like me just sitting here crying because I'm so happy. Because this is what I've wanted since like season 2, and like we're finally getting it. And I just, yeah, it's great. And also it's funny too, because I think about in Booth Buddies, whenever she was like, after her and Marco kissed, and she's like, "I have a boyfriend, his name is Tom." And then like this one, she's just immediately like, "My boyfriend Marco." And I was like, "Yes, your boyfriend Marco." Though I guess they didn't really establish if they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and that's fine. They don't really need to put that label on it.
You need to talk, sit down, have a discussion about whether you're in a relationship, Star and Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's immediately what I thought. I'm like, wait, have they asked if they could be each other's? Yeah.
They're also like 15, but yeah.
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 I guess it's just assumed, but you should never assume things.
Yeah, don't
'cause-
assume.
Yeah.
Even if, like, obviously they are.
Though I guess, yeah, I mean, they obviously are, but I guess it's also one of those things too, where they're just like, maybe it's just natural at that point, like, and maybe she just naturally like blurt that out. She was just like, my boyfriend Marco, just put him in the picture.
Yeah.
Like,
It's also
and
like
whenever-
it's also like inside her own head. She's basically
Yeah.
talking to herself here. Yeah, but
she's inside her own talking to to herself. I love too. She's like, maybe just holding my hand, like
yeah,
trying
That was
to direct
the
where
best.
he's gonna go. Well, and then my first initial thought too is that they were just gonna like have a really long hand like stretched into the portrait. Like
that's how you would do it. I feel like that's not the optimal way to put Marco.
no,
in there.
but like at the bare minimum, that's what they could do. Just like take some whatever skin tone Marco is and just stitch it in there over everything, so it'll have a nice texture. I don't know.
Okay.
About weaving tapestries.
Okay, April's gonna put that in there. Gonna sew that into the tapestry. Yeah.
I'm gonna Photoshop it in.
Yeah, please. People have already photoshopped Marco into
I know.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh
good.
my god.
They're like it's hilarious because they're so bad.
It's very bad.
That makes
No,
it
we just,
better,
need,
though.
we just need Marco with the cape in there. Just
Yeah.
Oh my
stupid
god.
cape.
He would demand, like, if I'm gonna be in there, I need my cape.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Andy, what was your reaction to all the Starco things that happened?
I thought the stuff that happened when Star hugged Marco and talked about his heartbeat, I thought that was going to be the end of what we got until the action ended in the finale. Like, I thought
Yeah.
this was just
Mhm.
like Star, like, oh, sorry, that was nothing. Let's get back to fighting. But Star, like, took action. And was like, let's talk about this. And I think that's one of the first times I've been like, yeah, Star, like, let's confront these things you're feeling. And that kind of carried over through the rest of the episode. But regarding the Starco, like, she just seems to be very much taking action, and she seems to be done with people telling her how to feel and people like not really listening to her. And I really enjoy that. And it really feels like Star is herself right now. And that carries over to Starco. Like, this is really good. And I really like it because this feels like Star and Marco from season 1. Like, this feels like part of the relationship we were missing. Like part of the energy we were missing. And I don't know if it was a conscious choice or if it's just what happens when you have Star and Marco together in this way, but it feels like it was just, it's what it feels like. Just Star feels so much more energetic when we're watching her now.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think this can be most successful if it ties in well to what we're doing with Star's character.
And I think it does because like we have the Star Marco scene and then we see the scene with her and Eclipsa and her mom. And that's the scene where Star is most confident when confronting her mom about this. Because every other time that Star's had to confront her mom, it kind of always ends with, all right, Mom, I'm going to go do this, but I guess you can stay here. But this time Star like really put her foot down. She's like, no, this is not working. And she actually fought her mom for a bit. Like, this is a very different reaction, I think, than ones we've seen.
Yeah, that's true. It did feel like it stood out with Star's like anger at her mom.
Yeah.
And I think confidence is a good aspect of that too. In what was happening there. And I think so I think for the most part it was really fantastic with the end of Here to Help and then all the rest of the scenes in the episode. I think it was like 95% it was great and I loved it, and then 5% it was like okay, this would have played a lot better a year ago.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they kissed already, they admitted their feelings already, we'd gone through a lot of loop-de-loops for this. Okay, it's still great, but you know,
We wish it was sooner.
wish it was not the greatest path here. Michelle, give us the non-Starco perspective on, did you enjoy it all, their culmination here? What was your reaction to it?
Okay, it's not like a non-Starco response. Like, I was genuinely happy for them, but there was also like this very deep, belabored sigh that left my body when it
Wow.
finally happened to be like, thank God, like we can close this door finally and move on to other things. I mean, it was a really nice moment, and I totally buy that Marco did like, have feelings from the first episode. And that they grew larger, and at some point, Star realized her own, and that's great. It took a really long time for this to happen, but I'm glad they were both honest, and I'm glad they had the conversation. I wish them all the best. I'm a little Like it kind of felt when at the very end when Star just like decides, oh, magic is the root of all these problems, not people's internal like racism. No, it's the magic's the problem. I'm gonna end it all. She kind of equates like the dilemma to just like, oh no, I won't see my boyfriend again, and I don't really I don't know how I feel about that yet, and it'll be good to see how that plays out in the next episode. Maybe it'll make more sense there, but that felt like kind of random, honestly. Like that's a really big move, deciding you want to destroy all magic. Like that affects everyone, and I don't know, equating it all to just Marco feels a little strange. But yeah, in terms of the relationship, it's like it's good for them. They've been through this crazy journey a long time coming, so it was finally over. Hooray!
It's finally over, hooray. I mean, that's also what Starco shippers were saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we're all, no, let's talk about that ending, because, well, my response would be that this is the emotional core of the show, Star and Marco's dynamic. I think it makes sense if that's what's at stake here, but I also understand that if the reaction would be, this would affect a lot more than just Marco being there. But from Star's perspective, this is what's going to be on her mind. This is who's most important to her. I guess that's where that's coming from. But I guess the main topic would be like, are they really going to separate Starco here at the end of the show? Did we culminate them? I mean, and going to send Marco back to Earth, Star trapped on Mewni? Is that what's happening?
No, not at all.
It could.
It could. I mean, look how long it took them to drag this out. Yeah,
that possibility, like, is very scary
for me. Yeah.
Can I put forward what's actually happening now, Dylan? Because I think I figured it out.
Okay, right. Andy, crack the code. Give us the take.
So what's happening here is what we see in the tapestry is everybody on Mewni who would be affected by what Star would do if she destroyed magic. And Marco's not included in that because he's not from Mewni. He doesn't live on Mewni, he lives on Earth. So Glossric tells Star the truth that Marco would go back to Earth, but what he doesn't include is that all the Mewmans are from Earth too. All the Mewmans will be sent back to Earth as well if she destroys magic, because they don't belong here either. Because of that thing that Marco brought up a couple episodes ago, that like, hey, are all the Mewmans from Earth, from that well? And I think that that's going to be the big twist, that it will send Marco to Earth, but it'll also send everybody that are Mewmans to Earth too, and it'll leave the monsters on Mewni. It'll separate them. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Avatar 1 episodes of Korra. Like, it'll just kind of be the separation thing. And it's not necessarily right thing to do, but it feels like kind of like the thing that we're leading to here.
Is that the thing you think actually is going to happen? Because like a lot of people speculated that's what the effect would be if Star destroyed magic. So you actually think magic will be destroyed?
Andy, question: what about baby Meteora? Like, is she enough monster to stay?
I think Meteora is going to be part of the what goes wrong with this.
Well, in the tapestry, Star's in Mewni, so are the butterflies staying?
But no, because Star's in the process of destroying the magic in the tapestry. She hasn't destroyed it yet.
So I think the butterflies will also be sent.
Every Mewman will be sent back without magic.
Oh,
so that's like, it's like a kind of segregation then. Like all the monsters will
And I'm not saying I think that's the right thing to do allegorically, but I think that's what's going to happen here.
So I definitely think this is what could happen if magic's destroyed. I'm like much less convinced that this will actually come to fruition in the finale.
There's more to it maybe than the tapestry immediately tells you.
I think like in terms of what does the show ultimately have to say about monsters and humans? I think that's a big aspect of this. What is the finale? This is a show we've really criticized in their messaging about monster racism, and what really do they have to say? Like, what they have to say is the humans should go back where they came from. It's like a pretty bold stance. Probably not a super helpful one practically in terms of comparisons to our world. But it's like send the colonists back to where they came from. I guess that's what the show would be saying with that. Yeah, that seems like way too bold of a stance for something that Star would take. I feel like the show always takes more the morally gray, muddy type of thing. And
but I think they can present this morally gray. I think they could be like, Star, you're not like actually addressing the issue, like when this happens. But the thing is, like, Star's just so mad about all this. I don't think Star is acting well here. I don't think Star is acting logically. But she's just so mad about all the things that have been messed up by magic that she's just going to take this action. And I don't think it's the right action, but I think it's not cool, but I think it's interesting seeing our character do this, not necessarily correct action in light of these events. I do find that interesting.
April, what was your reaction when you heard Star talking about destroying magic in the context of the show? Like, this is like the magical girl saying at the end of the show, we need to take away magic. Like, what? Like,
yeah, I feel
it's a big twist.
Yeah, and part of me thinking it's really a big twist. Like, first off, you're a magical girl. I don't know if you understand, but half of that
That's not how this works. Yeah.
Is Gloucester QB then, Dylan? Is that
Stop
what
it! Stop it!
Pretty much.
But here's like my thought process was like, oh wow, like that would be like terrible if you destroyed magic, one. But then I was like, okay, so you would have to use magic to destroy magic. And in my head, like, I just don't see this working out the way that she thinks it's going to. And that's a really extreme like stance to kind of take in this situation, like to sort of be like, magic's the reason for all of these terrible things, which really it's not, because even if you take away all of the magic, like the humans and the monsters are still going to be there, assuming like in theory, like magic doesn't set everything back to where it is. Because the other thing with Glossaric is he likes to that's just kind of like Star's thought process, and then he just sort of like buys into it for her, like for her sake. So part of me feels like he's maybe not, I mean, as always, he's not being fully honest with her. And so, because I just have a hard time seeing like destroying magic fixing this. So I don't know, but that's a very extreme stance. But also, like, I think it says a little bit about Star, too, that, like, if that's the path that she's willing to take, even though it may mean that she has to lose the person that she loves, but she's sort of, like, it's like sacrificing, like, it's the trolley situation. But, yeah, go ahead.
Here's my thing, though. Like, I think that they can do multiple allegories here, because like let's say like that like we're talking about the racism thing here, but like let's substitute magic for some other thing. I think like the show is kind of saying like, what if magic is guns or whatever? Like, is it helpful that everyone has magic? I don't think it is in the context of this show. It's just a weapon that everyone gets, and it's clearly not keeping their society like it's hurting people actively. I'm trying not to get too far into it, but like that could be a direction they might be taking with this.
Maybe, but I feel like I could understand that, but I feel like if they're trying to make that point, it's not obvious.
No,
and it just kind of seems, and it just kind of seems like my initial reaction is that she's just she's not in the best state of mind either. Like, she just first off, she thought she had everything like going for her, like her and the man that she loves are like finally admitted it and they're gonna be together. But then like she also finds out that her mom's like betrayed her, and like she can't trust her mom, which is, you know, like that would be like, I don't know. I feel like that's enough to sort of guide her a very unstable reaction to things. So I'm kind of taking it as like she's just overreacting, which sounds really bad, but like, I mean, I understand, like, okay, yeah, like, from that perspective, destroying magic, in theory, could solve all of these problems, or at least, like, stop them.
I think the point is that whatever, it really matters what thematically they're going for, whether this is good or not, and I don't know what they're doing yet. Yeah,
I think it's just going to make more sense once, like, we try to cross that bridge. Because, like, so. Right... Yeah, me too. Because like right now I'm kind of like, okay, maybe that could work, but I don't know. Like that, like destroying magic doesn't necessarily like destroy people's like like the racism in their hearts or whatever. So
yeah, I think my main I think my main thing is I also don't really know if this would be good or not to do yet. The biggest thing in response to this whole thing that I am certain of is I don't think the show will separate Star and Marco. I think that's too bittersweet of an ending. That's like the thing that's clear to me. But I also feel like it would be a little bit weird for the show to do a happily ever after. I was talking about like an epilogue and, like we see them, 10 years down the line and you see them married or you see like, that feels like a little bit much for the show.
I think the bittersweet part, Dylan, is they're going to separate Meteora and, what's Marco's sister's name? I always forget it.
Yeah, that's a consequence of
yeah. I think they're going to separate those.
That's a consequence of sending all the humans back to Earth, and they promised them. But it's also that's like one episode.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying
big of a thing. But the thing I could imagine is like I don't know. It's just so easy for me to imagine Star and Marco. And I was aided by seeing the preview for next week. And the preview is like Star and Marco make one big decision.
Oh, I've not seen
really?
That'll change everything.
I was curious enough to watch it.
Yeah, so it's like okay, I'm like okay, they take away magic, and then the show ends at like this white flash, and you see how everything's different. And then the ending, like 5 minutes, you play it out. Marco's like on Earth, and you see like him going through a day, and then you see something like, oh, here's a new student to class. It's Star Butterfly or something, and it's like Star's just a normal girl on Earth now, and you see them meeting again as normal humans on Earth, and like that's the end of the show is like them meeting in this alternate timeline.
Oh,
that's what I was. That's what I was thinking. That was my prediction.
Like that, I could see that ending being this type of thing the show would do.
But it's really, it still doesn't explain like what their stance on the monster human thing.
No, that's the thing. Like this show's grown to be so like politically invested in all these other things. I don't think it can ever go back to what it was first season. It doesn't seem responsible anymore. Too much has happened. Too much has impacted these characters. You can't just like brush that all away. And that's like that's what she wants to do with magic, right? Like she just wants to get rid of magic to try to stop everything, but like that's not going to stop everything, clearly. So they better not do that. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
I think the take of if you create an alternate universe and that way it like gets rid of all the important things the show was talking about before, I think that's valid. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that either. Michelle, what's your do you have any read on where the show's going? Do you have any what do you want it to do, what do you not want it to do, like we were talking about just now?
I want it to I want to actually dismantle I want to get rid of the High Commission. I want to get rid
that's something we can do too.
I want someone else to be in charge. I still kind of am rooting for Buff Frog president elected by the people, monsters and humans. I don't think separating the monsters and humans is necessarily the best call.
Oh, it definitely isn't.
So I think like things need to change, but I don't think just taking away magic's gonna fix any problem really. Like there are more Minas in the world out there, I'm sure. So like it's a very short-sighted kind of way to resolve conflict. So yeah, I hope Buff Frog for president. I hope Star can take a break from, all this responsibility, but like certainly she's come a long way and she can continue to do really good work for, the humans and the monsters. But I don't necessarily think she needs to rule either. So yeah, I just want things to actually, everything we've been building towards to come to something that feels plausible and satisfying, because we only have like an episode left and then the show's done forever unless they make comics, and I'd like closure with the actual show. So that's all I want.
Starco post-show comics, please.
Okay, yes. No, we don't.
You asked for comics.
Those are the comics. I said maybe comics will happen. That's like kind of a
in the vein of Korosami Kora post-show comics.
Sure.
Starco post
comics of the show. That actually sounds great. So let's do that.
You'll take it there. It's too late. It already happened. So here's another way it could go though. What if they take away magic and I guess Glassrick was lying and the humans don't go anywhere, or the humans don't go anywhere. They stay there. The High Commission is like gone. They're like die, and Glassrick is gone because he says he would go away. And so they do need a new ruling system. And so they hold elections, the monsters and humans, and they elect Buff Frog, right? You could see the Buff Frog election happening from the magic being taken away.
Okay, I'm still confused about Glossaric going away, because I'm pretty sure he's still God, even if they take
Right,
away...
how do you get away God, even if you take away, like, he's made up of magic, but he's still God, so what, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't...
But isn't God the magic in our hearts?
Oh my
Just
he'll
God.
like
live in everyone's
Glossaric.
heart.
Not Glossaric, he's not the magic in my heart.
Oh my God. That was the worst thing
Oh.
you've ever said, April.
Well, I don't know if I take it that far. That's pretty extreme, Andy.
No, it is.
Anything involving Glossaric is the worst thing.
Yeah,
Not Ludo.
Glossaric's
by the way, no mention
that's-
of Ludo
you're
heading
saying
into the...
what happens to
Dylan.
Glossaric.
Dylan,
Dylan, there's
have
no
I
mention
told
of
you?
Ludo, but we got Toffee.
Oh my
Toffee,
god,
that's
yeah.
most a very visible
Ludo.
spot for Toffee in the second
That
to
was
last
great.
episode
And
of the
there
show.
was a
Considering he's not a
surprise.
character in the show anymore,
Aren't
was
we
Toffee
never-
right all along? Hey, surprise! Like, what?
That is what happens.
Why?
It's good. Everyone loves Toffee. He's like the actual cool villain. Like
Everyone,
we
I think
met.
Toffee's the one character everyone agrees to
Dylan,
love,
things were so much simpler when like that was the main conflict.
It was so
Yeah.
much better.
Remember the good old days? Like I
Yes.
don't mind seeing him again.
Where
Yeah.
Toffee was just contaminating magic.
There's-
Yeah, instead of like morally great.
There's still
Queen
time to
Food
resurrect
and
Toffee for the
Eclipsa,
finale. Just do it in the
crazy,
first 2
you know?
minutes. It's fine.
God.
It's
No. If the finale starts in 2 minutes and Star just destroys magic, and then Toffee like rises from the ashes somehow, and like everyone else just has no magic, I would love that. Let's just have
Toffee's
him
the new ruler.
Yeah, and then we can
he
fight
could
Toffee
throw
without
back.
magic.
Yeah.
I like, so I'm thinking about this, right? I like that this is our version of like who's going to sit on the Iron Throne in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this, like both shows are ending next week, the same day, and we're both heavily discussion on who's going to be ruling the kingdom at the end. And my thought was that I had just now is much like in game. I'm going to try to say this non-spoiler way, but a lot of people like there's a theory. People have been theorizing for a long time, is Jon Snow going to be on the Iron Throne? But it's like, Jon Snow doesn't want the Iron Throne, so what if he, like, walks away and he chooses not to be? And then he
Like
goes off and
Star.
lives in his own happiness. So Star, we've been saying would Star make a good ruler at the end? What Star could walk away with Marco and they could live in happiness together in their small, in like a cottage
Yurt.
and and instead they hold elections and Buffrog is elected president and Star like abdicates in order to have that happen. Like maybe Star is put in a position of made queen again. She gives it up to just be with Marco and live a quieter life because she seems done with it in these set of episodes. She's like, it's overwhelming and she's been going down that path for a while. And I think the better thing would be, giving power to the people as well. So I could see that being those two things happening at once, like a very like cheesy Starco ending of them going off to live together, but it's also in service of like this, of like the political ending with Buffrog and like servicing their plots there too.
I
But
just
I
had
s-
this. Oh, I was gonna
No, go
say. I just had this really terrible thought that I feel it's almost like in order for something like that to happen, something really, really bad. And and by really, really bad, I mean like death is gonna have to happen to like Moon and Eclipsa, and well, Mina too, but I don't care about her. Like that's just kind of in my head how I'm picturing. that
Are we killing
scenario.
Moon? Like,
I feel like
because
I
Star's so
don't
mad at
know.
Moon right now, and
I
then
don't
it's like
think
Moon
so.
dies, and Star's
Oh,
like,
man, she wants her mom to die.
well,
Yeah,
no,
I
but
feel
right,
like
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
gonna
Like, so
be-
Moon tragically died, and Star's like, no, I was mad at her, but I didn't want this, and like, it's really
Yeah.
terrible.
I
And
feel
like,
like it's gonna be something along the lines of like, and I just now like I can't get it out of my head. I just see like Moon and Eclipsa in order to defeat Mina and all of the Solarian soldiers, they're going to have to like use their powers combined, but they realize that it's going to come at a cost, aka their lives, in order for them to defeat all of these like soldiers in Mina. And then from that, everyone's going to be like, Star, like you're our queen now, and she's
Yeah.
going to say no. Like, I'm not going to be your queen. You
and
should
then she
do
gives
like
it up, yeah.
you should do like they do on Earth and
Yeah.
have elections.
And
Like,
have a-
Okay, I like, so you've added another layer with this. It requires Moon and Eclipsa to die to get Star to be queen. That makes sense. And I also could totally, maybe Star's about to like sacrifice herself to give up magic and to save everyone. And then at the end, Moon and Eclipsa jump in and say like, no, we can sacrifice ourselves and like use
Yeah.
their powers combined.
and then
Okay.
the whole like election thing comes about because they did that in Mina's first episode where they were like they had like some kind of thing and they were like, yeah, this is democracy and we
Yeah.
voted her. Yeah, so that would like, it would come full circle.
But
Okay,
I think a
I
part-
like this running theory. for the finale. No.
But I think this theory is taking like one thing for granted, and that's the fact that whether Star is done with what's happening right now, but I don't think she's done with helping people. I think the fact of the matter is she's upset because she isn't able to rule, and she doesn't realize that yet. She's upset because her ideas are not the ones being used. She has to always go through a middleman. And I think that.
Are you still pushing Star to be queen? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
I'm still.
Are you the Varys who's trying to get Star to?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want Star to be queen, but I think that her character is still leading in that direction. Because the fact of the matter is, I think that so far, the people we have seen, it's really her that has shown them best qualities to lead.
Well, what
everybody.
if we get that? What if we get a 5 minutes in the finale of her as queen after the sacrifice, and then she does get to do good, and then we flash forward a little, and she says, "I've done what I can. I think it'd be better if it's someone else or
Janet.
yeah."
I think that is
Janet.
totally possible. I think that is
Okay.
100% possible. And I
That
still
would be
think the
good.
ending that we talked about in another podcast of like her winning an election in the future when she's older is still a thing that could happen.
Okay, yeah, that's we did talk about that one too. Of Star wins the election. Yeah.
Yeah. But like in the future, like after like a time skip, because she's still like
Star gets rid of magic. Everyone loves her for that because then it's peaceful and everyone gets along after that, and so then they elect her. President Mewni. These are all possible. I want to make the argument for, because I said I think it would be too cheesy for the show to have like a Starco happily ever after. I want to, I guess, in counter to that, I want to make the point of, I also think we've earned that. The Starco, like we've talking about, it would have been great a year ago. What did we go through for all this time, if not to have some cheesy, adorable Starco ending where we flash forward and see them together in the future? Like, what was the point of all this, right? Like, this is
journey,
we're doing
the emotional ride, Dylan.
it's not about the destination, it's about the
the
ride. But we hated the ride
along
though.
the way.
We were complaining the entire way. So what's
That's what it's like to be alive. You just have a lot of feelings.
it's just
and
it's just
sometimes
a
it
metaphor
doesn't
for
turn
life.
out.
Okay.
Yeah,
But no, I think it's like we did this. Like they're not going to spend so much time getting it to this point at the end of the series, if not to have some big payoff. And it is a Disney show, and so you could have King Marco, Queen Star, and you see them when they're older. And like I think this is still on the table. I think that's way more likely having some super cheesy flash forward ending with Star and Marco than separating them.
Yes, agreed.
Except for the situation that I outlined of like they're separated in terms of how they know each other now, but they re-meet in an alternate timeline.
Yeah.
I think that's also possible. Okay, there's a lot of possibilities for next week. We don't even really know what they're doing, but I feel like none of us even speculated on this destroying magic plotline. That's the main thing heading into the finale. So the show kind of just comes up with stuff. Does anyone? That's not fair. Has this been building?
Yeah,
has this been building?
We're in the magic realm and it was all corrupted and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I think, and the thing is, like we said, the end of season 1 is Toffee trying to destroy the wand. Like I think this has been something kind of on the
that's a
mind
good
of
point.
characters since the beginning, of like wanting to end magic. It hasn't really been assumed to be like something that's real or should be done, but it's been on our mind. I think.
Right. So at the very least, the concept of should magic be destroyed but I'm going to just like that. We don't know if the end result of this is magic being destroyed. Like I feel like that would be something. That's a whole nother discussion. It's like, what has that been built up? But at the very least, this being in the minds of the themes of the show. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. I do think it is kind of has been there in different various characters for a while. Also, like just the origins of the show is Ludo trying to get the wand.
Yeah.
So like that's not really destroying magic, but it's about like who magic being power and who's controlling magic and magic having effects on everyone, all of our characters. So I guess it makes sense that magic is at the forefront of the themes of the heading into the finale, but it is kind of hard to talk about this not knowing what they're doing with it yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see, but it is interesting that I do think like getting the past queens, that's another thing. Like I think that makes sense to hit on that at the end, and kind of like Star's focusing in on Star's character, like I said, going into the wand, type of thing that we did at the end of the Tavern episode as well. I think all of that kind of checks out as things to do heading into the ending.
Also standing up to Glossric for like the first time, like thank you, Star.
Yeah.
Going inside Glosseric's eyeball. How about that?
Yeah. Just like nope.
Forced her way into his eye.
Yeah, she was just like, nope, we're not doing this riddle stuff anymore. I'm gonna get my answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we will definitely be. Well, we'll probably head back to this, but this big question. So let us know which version of the ending you would like to see next week. Don't get too attached to it though, because it'll probably not happen.
Yep.
Let's get back to this Moon twist. That Moon is largely responsible for things that have been happening in the show, ? We get a few flashbacks in the last episode where we see, I liked these moments where we kind of have these, very brief flashbacks to Moon doing stuff, because it like solidifies like, oh, Moon was behind this. Like Moon did, tell Romulus to free Globgor at the coronation, and she was the one that was building the Solarian warriors. I think the main discussion to be had. So I guess we can start off in like reaction to this, and like because we've been talking a lot about like what are we doing with Moon? Like why was she building this? One thing this pays off is why was she building her kingdom? And
it was for warriors.
But not necessarily that was her intent, but in terms of like where the plot was going, it's so that they could be used as the Solarian warriors. Yeah, that's an aspect of this too. Like that's the point of the Moon Kingdom, is that so that they're the ones that are turned into warriors.
They were red shirts for her to turn into even stronger red shirts.
Red shirts on steroids.
Red robots. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. Well, just, April, emotionally, as number one Moon stan, how are you holding up with this revelation?
I go through phases because, again, I always loved Queen Moon. Like, I was on we talked about her for like, what was it? Like an hour or so? Yeah.
It's like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah, right? So I'm like angry because like part of me is like I'm going through like all of these stages of like grief in terms of this, and so like I've been angry, and then I've been like battling the like denial thing, because I'm like, well, this isn't the actual Moon that I know and love, because she like had amnesia and lost her memory, and like this is like a different version of our Moon. So I'm like, okay, so maybe I can be less angry at her for this. And but see, I'm bargaining.
Yeah, you're at the bargaining stage right now.
So but it hurt pretty bad, not just for like me, but like Star. I'm sure like that was like terrifying to come into like after such a happy moment, and then see like your mom and Eclipsa like fighting, and then to know that your mom was like behind like Globgor escaping, and like the reason for the Solarian warriors and all of that. And but like the other thing too is that I can't believe Moon didn't think this situation all the way through. It seems like she was kind of maybe just like trying to find a solution to the problem at hand without thinking of the long term, because like she knew who Mina was, and that Mina was crazy, and like where in her mind did she think that like, oh yeah, I can totally control Mina? Because like,
okay, so let's give the Moon perspective here. That this is what the show's presenting. Asterisk. I'm talking from what the show presents, because I do think the show goes out of its way to tell us why Moon is doing this. Kind of. I mean, it doesn't. It's not like it's not like an entire episode or anything. But
she's doing it for her people, I would assume.
Well, okay. So here's my perspective on this, and you can tell me whether you agree or not at the end. So I think this makes a lot of what Moon does here makes sense to me with the kind of authoritarian, in control kind of figure that she's been throughout the show. She's used to being in control. We see her plotline this season as like unwittingly getting thrust back into being the queen of a kingdom, just because that's like what she's used to in life, and she's like not necessarily doing it on purpose, but the way she behaves gets her to that part. And like, so what she's doing here, it's that she is trying to take control of a terrible situation for the betterment of everyone, is her perspective. So She realizes that Mina is going to try to kill Eclipsa, and we think she's doing nothing, but in actuality, she's like, oh, you know who'd be better? What would be better than Eclipsa or Mina resolving this? They're both really dumb and bad, says Moon, is if I were the one in control of what was going to happen here. So I'll play along with Mina, I'll build the warriors for her, but I know that I have a kill switch for the warriors and that I'm really in control of the warriors. So that's why it's better for me to build the warriors, says Moon, than Mina, because I'm in control of them now. And then, get Mina, like I can send Mina and Eclipsa, and then I can force Eclipsa into a situation where she steps down, hands power to me, because it would be better if I was on the throne, not Eclipsa, because then I can make sure no one really gets hurt here, and then I'll just turn off all the Slayerian Warriors, which she attempts to do with her spell. This was a very underplayed thing in the episode. I think this is probably the biggest flaw with the 4 episodes here, is that this is just very fast, which is that Moon thinks she has this kill switch for the warriors. But then Mina like, haha, no, we were loyal to Slayer and not you, so you don't have the kill switch. That, it's also like, feels like a contrived plot point. I guess that's why we see a flashback to Queen Slayer, yeah.
But even if she has that kill switch, I don't think that means what Moon...
Well, so again, from Moon's perspective, in her mind, she thinks she can get rid of all the warriors, get Mina to stand down, force her to stand down, take back control of the kingdom, no one gets hurt. So,
but that's not true. We saw people literally get hurt along the way. Like, it's already false, because Globgor
who got hurt?
Globgor got hurt, all the monsters got hurt, the guy died. Like, everybody got hit by the sword.
Friends got hit.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's obviously not true. Like,
so Moon says she never wanted Mina to attack the monsters.
Yeah, but that
she
doesn't
say that.
There's only so many times you can.
It seems almost like an ignorant thought.
Yeah.
Like, she's just like, well,
like,
I never
didn't
wanted
intend this
Mina
to happen.
but
It's like, well, your actions still have consequences
Yeah.
that you are responsible for.
And the other thing too is that she knew going into it that Mina had an extreme hatred for monsters, and that Mina has done nothing but talk about killing monsters, destroying monsters, getting rid of monsters. And so it's like a very, like, I 100% totally understand like everything that you're like pointing out, Dylan, but like it's one of those things where it's just like that small thought process like that was forgotten, because it I guess that's where like my bargaining phase comes from, is because I'm like, but Moon would know better than this. Like, Moon.
I think thinking about it, that the point of like she knows that there's going to be collateral damage of the monsters that the Slayerian Warriors will attack. She knows that. I think this is a great point. I think the show is intending this to be a thing, and it goes along with the complicit thing we were talking about. Like, she's just purposefully turning a blind eye to this because she doesn't really care. And I think that this goes in line with what we've done thematically with Moon before, but she's like, okay, Mina might do that, but it's you know, it's not that important, you know. What's important, maybe it's an ends to an mean, right? In her mind, maybe like getting me back on the throne, getting Eclipsa away safely, and getting her out of power, getting Mina controlled. Obviously Moon should know that Mina's gonna be attacking monsters, and that she wouldn't listen to her about that. It seems pretty obvious. She's definitely smart enough for that. And so I do think that's probably a commentary on Moon.
And I don't think Moon has learned her lesson yet. I still don't think Moon has.
She doesn't get it. She's like, why are you mad at me? I did what was best in my mind. Like that's where she is right now in her mental stage of thinking.
And even in the tavern, like, she's down, but she feels down because she couldn't control Mina, not because of the collateral damage. Like, she's lost control, and that's what she's upset about. Not that she's upset that about the racist stuff.
So I definitely think we should be blaming Moon for them not caring that Mina's going to attack the monsters. I definitely think that. I'm trying to figure out if I agree with her logic of whether she should have tried to seize control or not, because I think that's up for debate.
That's what I don't get. I mean, she had that whole spiel in the middle of the season. She's like, nah, I'm not queen anymore. People keep trying to ask me for my advice, and I know I don't want that responsibility. And then here she is being like, I need to reclaim my throne. Give me my wand back. It's like, wait, so you have wanted to be the ruler the whole time? Were you just lying to Star's face in the middle of the season? That wasn't a turning point for your character at all?
Like, there's a point in the series where Moon was like, hey, Star, you were queen. You made a decision. I respect that. And clearly that's just not true.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I think Moon thought it was true, but I think that she's like, oh, here we go again. Here's a situation that I need to resolve because no one else is. Eclipse is incompetent. Mina's going to hurt people. I need to, for both their sakes, I need to step in here and handle this.
But Dylan, that also just reflects the fact that she doesn't trust Star, because like, Star backs Eclipsa, and
that's a good point.
Moon claims to like be on Star's side and respect her decisions. her undermining her like this is like a total smack to the face. It's like, no,
I don't-
this is not
yeah.
to trust
Here's
your
the, I
daughter
think
at
here's
all.
the broader point. I don't think Moon gave one thought to Star when she
No,
thought of all
she
this
didn't.
plan. Because at the end, she
Well-
sees that Star's mad at her, and she's like,
She
this
doesn't
is-
Yeah,
care.
what?
She,
Yeah,
this
she's
is
like,
wasn't
what
this
did I
wasn't
do?
something that she thought about or had planned,
No.
and
Like-
that's a pretty big indictment.
But
on
I
them,
think that the most important thing, like that's big. But I think the important thing is that what we're talking about is I've realized that this is the defining trait that like kind of carries through all the queens, all three of them that we've seen like in big parts, is that they have no ability to reflect on their own actions and own feelings. They have no ability to say, hey, this is why I feel this way and this is why I want to do this. Moon wasn't able to see within herself that she does want control, even though like she pretended to be like, I'm doing this just because I want them to be quiet in the village, like when she
Right.
let Mina
Yeah.
go. But she wants control, and that's clear from this episode. And Star has shown that kind of thing in multiple ways too, where she's just like, she wants certain things, but she doesn't know what to do because she's young, and that's kind of the way we see it. But I think in this episode we see like she wants to destroy the magic, but what she really wants is she wants people to stop hurting each other, and she just sees that as the thing that the easiest way, even though it's kind of a radical step to take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
so
think,
I
sorry, go ahead.
no, you finish. Sorry.
No, that's it. I was just going to give more examples.
So I've been thinking about this. I feel more confident after what I'm about to say that we're doing a democracy ending, because I feel like this is what we're doing with Moon here is she is at heart an authoritarian. I think that's what the show is saying. Like Moon is an authoritarian leader. And I think they're painting that in a very negative way. And so I think we're going to subvert that at the end by getting rid of the queen stuff. And here's why. So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I kind of agree with Moon that everyone would be much better off if she was in control than Eclipsa or Mina at the end there. But like, that's not the point. The point is she can't just do that. Like she doesn't get to just manipulate the situation to do that and hurt people in the process. Like that's a very authoritarian mindset.
That proves that she's actually not a good leader, because that's part of being a good leader is not
It's a good point,
being
yeah.
able to be
Yeah.
objective.
Right. Well, she needs to talk to people about what she's going to do and not manipulate everyone behind the scenes, which is what the reveal is here, that she had been manipulating the situation so that she could step in and resolve things. She doesn't get to do that. Talk to Star, consult with her, consult with Eclipsa. Don't manipulate Eclipsa and have someone try to kill her in order to save her. Like that's not okay. You don't have the innate authority to do that, Moon. You're not even if you were a queen, that's not a good reason that the power structure is just from your birth is innately set up to be that way. So I think Moon's mindset ultimately is just authoritarian at its core in order for her to arrive at the conclusion that she should do this and step in to fix everything is what's inherent behind that is that she is able and has the moral authority to do that. So I think this goes back to her figure at the beginning of the show where she's just like this, stiff queen that Star sees her as. And, she's just been, I don't want to say it's not her fault. She's had plenty of time to come to the conclusion this shouldn't be the case. But, she was born into this role. All of her ancestors before her had been queens and she's raised to be a queen. And, this is what she thinks she thinks the world works and she should step in to do that. But that's the big problem, I feel like, with her thinking is she wasn't considering others and working with others and resolving things with Star, with the High Commission, which even in cahoots with the High Commission, I don't even but maybe,
I think she probably clued them in to
guess.
certain things. I
We're-
mean, well, she obviously
we're-
had to tell Romulus.
I think the biggest ones are work with Star, your daughter, actually consider that she exists, and then don't just try to save Eclipsa by sending someone to kill her and then stepping in at the last minute. Come to her with this plan. She needs to.
She's been trying to sabotage Eclipsa the whole season.
Well, let me tell you. I think she at the end, she says, "Oh, Mina's going after Eclipsa. Here's the solution. Mina's going to kill Eclipsa no matter. I take control of Mina." And then force Eclipsa to stand down, because Eclipsa as queen, in Moon's mind, Eclipsa as queen will always arrive at a situation where she's gonna die. I don't think we probably don't agree with that, but in Moon's mind, she's incompetent, she's not a good enough leader. So I just need to force her to stand down. I'll use Mina to put her in a position where she has to stand down, and then I'll send her off. Because I believe her when she said it, at that point when she's like, we'll heal Globgor and then you guys can go to a different dimension and stuff. So, but you can't do that without Eclipsa's consent. You need to come to her with that plan first. Is I think the thing. So, really, I feel like this is all just an authoritarian mindset behind Moon, and she really can't be in charge because she's always gonna think that people are her pawns and she can know what's best for everyone. And because of all that, and I feel like we're setting maybe up for a change in government structure, if we're thematically condemning an authoritarian system so much here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Andy. April. Well, April, does that upset you that I'm like Moon is this authoritarian?
No, because
it
makes sense. And I'm even sitting here thinking about like, because remember whenever Star lost the book, like she took that upon herself. Like she went behind like the Magical High Commission's backs to try and take control of a situation that was outside of her control. And so like I'm remembering like all of these little moments where she's like basically like I'm not upset at you at all. Like I'm there. So it's just like, I don't know. It's like me personally. I'm like, how do you just like not care about other people so much? Like and not care about your daughter that much too, because she knew like Eclipsa being like a successful queen was important to her. So I just don't understand like why. And maybe like I'm like, oh well, maybe she was like partially influenced by like the people who were living in her like little community and everything like that, but like she just didn't think all the way through either. Like, and that's why I think it's really important whenever Star kept bringing up things like, okay, but like what about the monsters, like what's going to happen to them and things like that, and she didn't have an answer for that because she didn't think about that. And so it's just sad that that's where we've come with Moon, because she could have been such a strong and powerful woman. So
yeah, and I think
Moon, she still is, just not in a really positive way, right?
I mean, yes, but
she's
like
pretty strong and powerful.
She could have been a strong and powerful, positive female influence. There we go. Done.
Yeah, I think Moon does care about people. It's just in her own flawed way of like she thinks she knows what's best for them, right? Type of thing that I was talking about. So I still think she does care about Star, but yeah, it is a pretty big indictment if she wasn't even considering Star once.
Yeah.
Which I think goes back to some of these struggles Star had, the Star's mommy issues from season 1. Like she never really paid enough attention to Star and wasn't
never tried to like connect to her. And like it's interesting too, because at the very beginning of the show, like Star essentially, like I guess the whole premise is that Star gets sent to Earth because she can't stop fighting monsters, and she's supposed to like train for like to use the wand better. And that's just so interesting because like Moon doesn't care about monsters and kept up the whole like monsters and humans need to be separated thing even into her reign. And I understand where her she personally can feel that way towards monsters, because like Toffee and his goons like killed her mom, and that sucks. But like it's like racism in a nutshell, essentially, or in a prettier package. And for her to like then almost sort of like, I guess like punish her daughter for like taking on like the same things that like the same values that she had, because it wasn't, I guess it also wasn't necessarily that Star hated monsters, she just didn't want her to fight monsters. And I'm like, okay, but like isn't that what you wanted? I don't understand. So yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I'm interested, like now I'm feeling, after I thought of all this, feeling pretty confident this is what we're doing with Moon. So then I'm like, how do monsters, humans, racism stuff ties into this? So I still don't necessarily know that, but
it's like people who take their own personal prejudice, and then when they get into a seat of authority, they like try to sprinkle it on everyone's pie or whatever. Like they're just trying to. Yeah.
So how's this going to play out in the finale?
See, now I'm sitting here and I'm like, the only way we can sort of help take care of this is if we kill Moon, because like.
April, you can't be pro killing Moon.
Or like try to get away for her to like come to realize everything she messed up on, and to like actively make a choice to change. Like that would probably. I
feel like we're past that at the last episode. I think she needs to go away from Mewni.
Yeah, like I feel like change change isn't in the cards for her, because
she had a perfect spot to change this season, right? She rebuilt herself. She went back to the basics, and she still arrived at this point.
She arrived at a worse point. I feel like,
yeah,
which is the other reason too why I'm just because before Moon had amnesia and couldn't remember who she was and everything like that, I felt like she was in a better place, in a more understanding, she cared a little bit more about her daughter and that kind of situation. But since we went through the whole I can't remember who I am, I'm gonna go live in this yurt situation, she's completely forgotten that she has a daughter, and she has her husband, and I have no doubt that she cares about River, but I just don't feel like she cares as much about Star as she used to, and I feel like that's a result of the whole losing her memory thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, or did she never care enough about Star to begin with, and it was exacerbated by that or something?
I think she cared about at the beginning of season. Or at least
maybe cared about, but always had a bad approach to her.
Maybe because I feel in season 3, the very beginning, at the end of all of the toffee stuff, I think Moon really did care about Star, but I just feel like we've lost that, so it's gone.
Moon was a very sympathetic figure at one point in the show.
Yeah, I know.
End of season 2 into season 3. Yeah.
Which is why this hurts even more.
Sad. Yeah. So I think there's a big condemnation of Moon, although the show tries to explain. The show definitely lets her explain herself. I also think that we're condemning Eclipsa to a certain extent in these episodes, although it's not as... Eclipsa is always just a gray character, so it's she's never behaving too good or bad. But yeah, I think Eclipsa not thinking to evacuate the monster people is a good point. That was something that she had have suggested to her. And then also just using the annihilation spell, and then wanting to use it again and not really caring about, it having catastrophic consequences on Mewni. Star is adamantly against it. She's up for using it again. I feel like the point of that is okay, Eclipsa is always gonna potentially arrive at this decision. She can't be an authority either, because, Star understands that she can't be using atomic bombs here. Maybe that's the comparison. But Eclipse is always going to be willing to drop the atomic bomb, if need be. And it's not it wasn't to good end of stopping the Solarian warriors, but it's she's just not going to care enough about the collateral damage, much like Moon didn't care about the collateral damage. Both, in a way, they're similar. Both aren't empathetic enough to people who they don't know, I feel is a commonality there. So maybe they do both need to die to achieve a better world. See,
it's so terrible, because I'm this is the only way we can make this better. Because I don't know. It sucks. It's not a fun situation to be in.
Yeah, and I will say, those things I described with Eclipse are more minor compared to the condemnation of Moon this episode. I do think Eclipse it looks good mostly.
And I think it also kind of goes back to the whole point of Eclipsa, in the beginning, she didn't want to be queen. Star gave that to her and was you take it, I don't want to get out of here kind of situation. And so I think that I think in and of that is something to just remember whenever we talk about Eclipsa being queen, because she's not that's not where her motivation lies. And so she's just trying to stop the problem at hand. But I mean, it was nice that she made an effort to get all of the monsters, or all of the citizens of Monsterville, or whatever it's called, into safety. So she did that, which is good. But then now the more immediate threat is towards her and her family. And so that's what's going to be her priority, because it's not necessarily that the monsters or the citizens of Monsterville are the most important things to her in this moment. It's Globgor and Meteora.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think, again, we did see that. And I think a big question heading into not necessarily a big question, because I think the episode super underplays Globgor, but a question in the finale is, will Eclipse and Globgor make it out okay? Globgor is about to die. River's rushing him to the magic sanctuary, so that's still up in the air heading into the finale. So maybe our bittersweet romantic themes don't come from Starco. Maybe they come from Eclipsa and Globgor not making it out okay, because I think we're pretty attached to their romance at this point in the show.
Oh gosh, who will Star and Marco have to take care of Meteora? Like,
Oh my god.
Glabgor could die. Eclipsa could easily die because we're talking
Yeah.
about her sacrificing himself. What if they both? Yeah.
like
And
who's
won't-
gonna take
a lot
care
of
of Meteora?
death.
You know what? It wouldn't surprise
Potential
me
death
though.
in the show.
I was gonna say it wouldn't surprise me if the Diaz's like adopted Meteora.
Yeah,
I
and
can
then
see
that's
them
how they're
doing-
together at
Yeah.
the end. Yeah, her and Marco Jr. Yeah.
Coach you.
Not Marco Jr., not Marco Jr. Mariposa. And I think Glabgor is probably going to be saved. I don't think he's going to blow up like Quirky Guy, but Eclipsa, we'll see if she can make it out of this.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
don't
sure
know.
hope so. I don't think too many more people are gonna die, and I do think I would rather see people like banished than just dead, because banishment means they have to live with like the consequences, whereas death seems a little too convenient. Like, I don't think that's as satisfying personally.
That's a
So
good
I
point.
hope they don't die.
Moon should have to live with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I like
and
that.
maybe Eclipsa could finally learn some of these things I've been criticizing her for / us. I
Okay,
don't know.
lay off Eclipsa. Moon's literally been sabotaging her role the
Moon's- yeah.
entire
Yeah, that's
season.
true.
Her husband's gonna die any second. Like, she's just
I think
doing her
Glabgor's going to be
best.
fine. I think he'll be fine. But yeah, I do think Eclipsa overall looks pretty good at this in these episodes.
definitely.
That spell though, I think that's the payoff to the spell with no name and the latest wand episode, Spider Top Hat episode. So we see that here.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess.
I thought it was pretty powerful moment.
I
when she
thought
cast
I thought it looked really cool, and I thought it was very interesting how it went through like the mountain and just left like its outline.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
went through the warrior and left its outline
Mm-hmm.
and is like stuck there. Yeah. Okay, let's quickly go through the things we didn't talk about from the episode. I guess everyone's there in the beginning. Who did we like seeing? Who's back in the Kelly and Jorby? I liked that Jorby was back.
Rich Pigeon.
Rich Pigeon.
Oh yeah, Rich Pigeon. He has a new outfit, new
Yeah.
legs and arms.
Yeah,
But then
new
it gets
legs.
cut
for
off
battle.
though. Right.
Yeah.
Ponyhead and thankfully Ponyhead was there and Seahorse,
Also,
and they're doing
I
a
was
Ponyhead show.
I was really mad because Ponyhead was like narrating sort of my exact thoughts, and
Wow, are you Ponyhead, April?
no, I don't
sure?
know. My stars may, or not my stars. My nails may suggest something different because they're like holographic right now. But I was like, because it was great because she's just like, ooh yeah, this is the final battle, and then she's like, what? No, like, and then she's like calling the like. I guess like pep talking Star. She's like, look at you, you're surrounded by love, like you're so powerful because of and I was like, Ponyhead, stop. Get out of my head.
She was great. She was great here. Also, Talon was here. That was good. We talked about the Rainbow Star robot and basically kaiju fight in that episode, and then twist that. The annihilation spell was Eclipsa's mom, who we learn is Solaria in this episode. So
And tiny Eclipsa is adorable.
That was
Tiny-
no
yeah,
wonder she does that with Meteora. She remembers the baby holder from her youth.
Oh, yeah. I also think Solaria being Eclipsa's mom explains a lot as to why she screwed up, because it's a bad mom to have.
Also, well, we can talk about Solario because we're not in her episode yet, are we?
Yeah. Okay. Well, then then the twist is that wasn't Mina. All the robots are coming.
Yeah.
There you go. So they tease the ending like we talked about last week. Like, could it just be resolved and then the rest is other stuff? No, of course not. In Here to Help, we talked about all the Starco stuff, and then Eclipsa and Moon talk, and we covered most of this episode.
Yeah.
The Princess Spiderbite and Slime were together. In the beginning
I'm
of
so
this
glad
episode.
their relationship is doing well.
So good
it
for
makes
her
me happy.
skin. Yeah, that's
That's most important. Okay, and then in Pizza Party, the flashback with Queen Solaria and Baby Eclipsa, and then Mina is like a peasant girl, and then she volunteers, and then she's the first Solarian warrior.
Yep. Also,
And then
Queen
I love the cut
Solaria-
to in the president. She's like, "Time to fulfill my oath." I thought that was a good moment.
Also, I was really mad because Queen Solaria was basically like pushing her views against monsters on people, and that made me really mad. because
And they didn't really care. They're
Yeah,
like,
The monster was so sympathetic. They're like,
Yeah.
they built a town on his nest or something.
Yeah.
Well, and then like, what is it? She's just like let's get rid of the monsters, and they're like, I mean, they're not really that bad, and then they just like go back to their date, like to their lives, and I was like, that should be a hint for you, ma'am. Like, why don't you take it? And she's just like, you peasant girl, be the first of my army.
Yeah. I feel like part of the reaction to this flashback is like, it's frustrating that we didn't see more. Like, it feels like Solaria is the origin of the monster racism. And it's like, why didn't we see more of that and understand why? But on the other end, it's like, rings true to our world. And it's like, there's just these people in the past that were terrible. And then it's like, okay, I guess.
kind of thought that that's what we were going to get out of that episode. And then I was even more confused because it was called Pizza Party. And I was like, this is fine. Like, if this is like the beginning of it all, like I would have loved to see like, why does Queen Solaria hate monsters? Like,
well, I don't think she's like the first one. I mean, like, it goes back to the whole. I mean, if the monsters have been driven out of their initial homes by the formation of the Mewni, like, aristocracy, that means
that's true. They're building on the nest.
Since they were colonized. She's obviously not the first one. She's just like one of the more prominent ones we've seen
because she built the Solarian army. Yeah.
At the very least, the town was built on the nest.
Yeah.
Okay. Also voiced by Yara Greyjoy in Game of Thrones, so more comparison. Well, who will have more deaths in the Game of Thrones series finale or the Star finale next week? Probably not Star.
Probably not Star.
Star.
But if it was Star, first off, I would be impressed, and then I would also be very angry. So
Rip, Queen Moon, Eclipsa.
They're all on the death watch.
The whole High Commission, Glossaric, right? Like everyone, they could all die.
Glabgor
could die. Yeah,
River
there's a lot of
will
people.
Survive.
Really?
Because
Glossaric will always survive.
He's somehow it'll be annoying. And rest of this episode, the High Commission's having the pizza party.
I hate the High Commission.
That was such a very uncomfortable scene. It's like, how do they grapple with all the death and destruction of the people they're supposed to be protecting right now and have a pizza party? Like, what the it felt very jarring.
Yeah.
Like, if the stakes weren't so serious, like, yeah, I could get into it, but like, no, like, this is a big deal. What are you doing, literally?
Yeah. It was hard to watch. I wrote in my notes, I really hope the High Commission, except Hekapoo, chokes on a rock and dies. So
yeah, bring back the goat man. Just Hekapoo goat man.
Happy Hekapoo was absolved, and she teleports them away, and then in the Tavern episode brings them there to this tavern where the end of the universe is at, like, with a wall in the back. I think it was a pretty cool setting.
I thought that was funny.
There's I think we talked about most of the stuff in this episode.
Yeah.
And everything inside Glosseric's eye, and then all the flashbacks to what Moon was doing. So this going into the finale, this question of will Star destroy magic, is at the end she says, I'm going to destroy magic. Destroy the magic. And she does say the magic. Might she destroy some but not all magic?
The magic.
I'm going to destroy the magic. The magic what? The Magic High Commission?
the magic in my mom? The magic in Eclipsa?
The magic inside all of us. Yeah. So we'll see.
The magic of music? Oh no!
I think it was just the show being quirky with its wording, but yeah. Because she repeated something she said inside, and then she says it again with the magic. But yes, this question of will she have to give up Marco, and she can destroy the magic, and we will see heading into next week's only half-hour finale. There you go. April, final thoughts on anything or predictions for next week?
I really don't know how this is going to end, and that's kind of exciting, and but also not, because it's the end, and I don't want it to end, but I guess it's nice that we're gonna like wrap everything up and not like try and drag anything out further than it needs to go. So I'm excited to see how this ends, and also ready to just cry forever next week. So yeah.
Okay, April's prediction is that she'll be crying forever at the end of the finale. Okay, we'll see if that's true.
Okay.
We'll check back in.
I'm just crying the entire podcast.
That'd be good. Michelle, final thoughts.
I honestly don't know how it's going to be resolved either. I just hope we get like a decent amount of closure for the plot points we've been dealing with for 2+ seasons. I know it's going to be very feelsy. I'm sure Marco and Star are going to have another moment. I don't know. It's like the end of an era, right? So whatever they decide to do, it's like going to be that's final. It. And that's like a big deal anyway. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know what to think. There's so many. I don't believe. I'll just say I don't believe that the magic's really going away. I think that's not going to solve what Star wants it to solve. So that wouldn't be a satisfying end. So I don't think it's going to go there. We'll find out though.
We'll find out, though. Yes. Yeah. My final thoughts are Starco is canon. So there you go. That's
all right.
That's all that matters, despite the hour plus of discussion on other things.
We did it. No,
Starco's
they did
canon.
it. We watched it happen.
No, we willed it into existence.
Oh,
we did it.
Man.
It was us, okay? Yay, Starco.
Yay.
Okay. Next week, we'll have full coverage of the series finale. Let us know in the comments your Starco thoughts. What of our predictions of the finale were right as well? I made a lot of predictions here. What do you agree with? What do you not agree with? And YouTube comments, overlyanimated.com. Subscribe to not miss our finale coverage next week. And talk about it with us. Talk about the finale and everything else about Star with us in our Discord at overlyanimated.com/Discord. Support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron podcast, Lucas, a.k.a. Rocco, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Beatrice, Hugh, and Michael. We'll be back for Star next week. Also check out our She-Ra episode discussions, which just finished up. DuckTales podcast just went up. We had a Detective Pikachu movie review go up this weekend. Fruits Basket coverage. I know there's OKKO podcast coming up as well. Find all that at overlyanimated.com. Thanks, guys, for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.